So, on tonight's episode of the Comix Zone, we're going to deep dive through a smaller selection of books tonight, including some that I sort of alluded to last week, which were these double digest from Gillian Fleck. I'm really excited to kind of go through one by one because they tell the story of some teen cannibal, uh, a duo of teen cannibals. It's a fun story. They're being pursued by, well, we'll get to that. But first, before we do that, it's time for flagrant self promotion. Okay, this is what Gordon and I have been working on lately. It's going to be a 3-issue series. This is the first issue we just put out in May of this year. We're going to be putting out the second issue in probably around September, in time for the Edmonton Comic Expo, and then the third one will be around the new year, somewhere around there. Tells the story of this fella right here. This is Arthur Slim Evans. He was a labor organizer both in the United States and in Canada. Pretty instrumental in getting a lot of the protections that we now, if anything, take for granted. Things like unemployment insurance, even to do with healthcare and especially health coverage for workers who may become injured on the job. So we think it's a pretty important story. It's tying in directly to the larger graphic novel that we are now in the research phase for. So yeah, it's all very exciting to us. It's going to be tie in with the big book that we're working on. So we're going to delve right through this. We'll start here, inside front cover. This is actually an illustration I did for the book based on some postcards that we had from way back when in the Vancouver, BC area. So I drew and colorized that. Did that all live on stream, by the way, which was really fun. So I'll be doing more of this sort of illustration work for issue 2 and issue 3 as well, in addition to doing my own comics as well, my own stuff that I'm doing, and a couple of issues of Genki that I'm working on. So Slim Evans was born in the 1890-ish time frame, I believe. So we pick up here pretty early in his life, when he's kind of first being exposed to ideas of labor organization and workers having value beyond being just a tool of the industry that they work for. I mean, it's a lot of the same conversations that we have now in regards to labor. Labor does a weird thing. We progress and then we get pushed back, and we progress and we get pushed back. There's always a bit of an ebb and flow when it comes to labor work in North America. Right now you see a lot of labor busting activity going on by large companies, while at the same time some small incremental improvements get made. It's a whole thing. So we actually pick up here with Slim as a young man in his probably early 20s or so, sitting in the front row of this sort of secret meeting that's happening in a basement in Minneapolis, Minnesota, around 1912. He's listening to old Joe here, who's a labor organizer that in this book, hi Moon Knight, in this book, Joe is sort of an amalgamation of a few real life people, real life labor organizers, and Gord has sort of have pulled them together, and this is based on real events, with some dramatization, of course. So he's asking these young tradespeople who are just kind of coming to, learning about labor organization for the first time in some cases, what good is a union if it's in bed with stool pigeons? Which a stool pigeon, if you're not aware, is like an informer. Often it's like someone embedded in the union informing back to the police or some other authority. And the whole room goes silent, because for a lot of these fellows, they don't know the answer, or they're afraid. They're here in an era right before the First World War where talking about labor organizing in a lot of places like this was outlawed. You could be thrown in jail for assembling and talking about labor organizing. So Joe says, well, what good are they? Hey, you carpenter, can't you hear? And that's Slim there. He's working as a tradesperson at the time. And Slim answers back, not much good. You're hearing? No, no, unions. Unions are no good if they're in bed with stool pigeons. Joe says, that's right. No good at all. Listen, it don't matter where you come from. As long as you're able, you're a worker. The AFL, or the American Federation of Labor, who's a large union at the time who was in bed with the stool pigeons with the authorities, the AFL wants to start defining a man's worth by way of where he comes from. Carpenter, you a Canuck, right? Oh, yes, sir. Well, you boys come from all over. Hopping trains, getting to where work gives you something to eat. Well, I don't care where you come from. If you're willing to swing a hammer next to me and build the future, then you're my brother. The AFL wants to classify the Negro as someone less than us, and they ain't. The Irish neither. Good work is a human trait, not a trait of where you're born. You boys, you stumbled onto something big. It's all us together, the workers. A power so big that those who want to exploit us simply can't. A single voice is a whisper, but the voice of millions is a song. That's us. The courts, they're the easiest to see through. Cops control them. The pigs, puppets of business owners. The politicians, well, they can be bought. See, they made us illegal for us to talk about this. We're expected to stay inside, to be abused and thankful at the same time. Have you ever tried that? No, sir. You see, we're talking about the way that money controls all the powers that be, from the politicians to the police to the courts. While the working class folks are left at their mercy. Here we got someone walking by the window, and Joe looks up, startled, watching, listening intently. Because remember, it's illegal what they're doing here, talking about labor and assembling. He says, of course not. It's because it can't be done. The public knows best when the public is informed. Reporters are being arrested for telling it like it is. Stool pigeons, they don't want the public to be moved by emotion, but I say emotion is exactly what's needed. Free speech is the foundation of thought and justice, boys. So these are brand new ideas that these young men, these young workers who are doing mainly very hard physical labor and have been told their entire lives that you're only worth something as long as you can keep swinging that hammer. The second you're of no use to us, hit the bricks. You're going to go hungry and probably starve to death. People were starving to death in these times, in threadbare clothes. So the meeting breaks up, and off Slim goes through the streets of Minneapolis, 1912. And he comes across a pretty grisly scene. There's been a lynching. Poor young man's been tarred, feathered, and strung up from a lamppost. This is all based on true events. He finds pinned to his clothes that this is for working like he white. So they've lynched a young African American man. Suddenly, as Slim is sitting here saying, "This man's like me. He is me." He hears, "Hey you, where are you coming from, boy?" Coming from back alley. "You're coming from that meeting, aren't you?" And it's police, batons, and a dog. Well, Slim, he goes tearing off through the back streets of Minneapolis. hearing the dogs at his heels the whole time, with the cops screaming, "Stay there!" Luckily, he's a bit wily. He's a wily, wiry young man. He escapes through the back alleys and is able to get up a fire escape without being seen in the dead of night, and doubles back and finds his way to the rail yard and says, "I better get the hell out of town." And he finds himself riding the rails for quite some time. I believe we pick up on his story as it's going through. I think he rode the rails for a couple of years, doing like the old Joe said, picking up work here and there, whatever will get you fed. Here they are sitting in a train car, riding through the passes, and one downtrodden man starts to ask, "Anybody? Nobody's got any food, and we definitely don't have smoke, so don't bother asking." "You sound annoyed, and you sound ashamed. You know, it's one thing to blame yourself for being hungry, but I know I ain't lazy." All right. So he kind of gets shouted down by this other traveler. The one guy on the ground here, Slim here, turns in and asks them, kind of flabbergasted, "Are are you blaming yourself for going hungry?" And the only answer is, I don't know. Maybe it's just bad luck. Listen, losing at the races, that's bad luck. Going hungry for days of starvation, it has nothing to do with luck, especially when you know there's food in all those restaurants we pass. "Well, then, I guess I'm starving. What difference does it make?" There's a big difference. We pick up here in his ride into Kansas City. And I believe this is after, like I said, a couple of years riding the rails. So old Slim here rides into Kansas City like a lot of young guys at the time, hoping to find some work, some food, some relief. So back in those days, we talked about a lot of the things that we have today, things like food supports, housing supports, monetary supports, as they talked about them as relief back in those days. And times were tough. So you'd often ride into a town like Slim does here, into Kansas City, to find lots of people roaming the streets. Then if you go off looking for help, you might find yourself finding a sign like this that says, "No relief for single men." So in those days, supports for young unemployed single men was very hard to come by. And as time progressed, it it gets much worse, which is what we're covering in our next work. Damn it. He sees this huge, beautiful castle, sort of thing he's never seen before. So he asks these folks on the street, "Excuse me, I'm not from these parts. I don't think I've ever seen a castle before. Who does that belong to?" "Well, that's a jail. It belongs to the state. If you aren't careful, you can call this place home." Not careful? "Kansas City's too busy now. Too many of you guys coming in on those trains. You should just keep moving on." "Sorry for asking." So, much like England's poor laws of earlier on, that's the inspiration for a lot of the things that go on in this first half of the 20th century, with where you can get tossed in jail for the crime of being poor, for not having means to, um, to support yourself. You could just get tossed in jail, and that's the only place you might get a meal. So Slim keeps looking around this town of Kansas City, and he sees that there's vehicles moving around, there's markets, lots of people standing around, lots of people around in tough positions, lots of pollution. Hears off from the distance, excuse me, sir, you look like you have a unique opinion. Sure, what is it? May I ask you something for the Kansas City Star? We like to ask people their opinions on important matters of modern life. We're asking people today, are men greater bargain hunters than women, and why? Slim's flabbergasted by this, right? You're starving on the street and someone asks you, you got press coming around and saying, we're doing a story on bargain hunting. And he just lowers his head. Mister, I don't know about any bargains. I'm just looking for some food. I'm starving. Is bargain hunting really what concerns people here? Now we start getting to the heart of it. He draws up close to Slim and says, "Hey, I'll level with you. Lots of people are hungry and lots of people are concerned. But you see that cop over there? Yeah. Well, he's paying attention to me. I'm not supposed to even consider reporting anything that makes this city look bad, especially nothing that makes the factories in this town look bad. If I do, I end up in the castle for 3 weeks. I can't have that. I got a family." Well, it's like that up in Minneapolis as well. Well, I heard. Before you go, I gotta take your picture after talking to you, else it looks suspicious. You got a name? People call me Slim. Good enough. If you're hungry, you should come down to this demonstration tonight. There'll be soup. It's a free speech rally to advocate for our First Amendment rights in the Constitution, the freedom of press. Slim does just that. And we close this chapter of his life later that night at the hall with this man standing up, and we'll talk about him more in the next issue. They can't silence us all. There's too many of us. We have families and they need us to build the wealth. They need us to look after the kids, serve them food, and to wrap their sausages up so they don't spoil. The public knows this, but apparently they think the public's stupid. So in the second issue, we'll really start to take off on Slim talking about the idea of self-worth, worth beyond your production means. So Arthur Slim Evans is an interesting guy. He's as Gord mentions here in his appendix, he's had songs written about him, but you'd never hear his name too much anymore. Slim's story gets interesting when he does what young people do in 2023. He leaves home to chase opportunities where it presents itself. When opportunities lack fairness and regard for the parties involved in it, the results can be drastic. Slim was a Canadian Labour advocate who led a large group of young people to advocacy. While the wealthy class looks to ignore the efforts of the working class, Slim acts as a reminder that no human is disposable. The government of Canada would then take up arms against its own and shoot down workers whose only crime was that they were hungry and had self-respect. So in this series about Slim, we'll watch as he makes his way out of a basement meeting in Minneapolis and forms his thoughts as he witnesses inequality in Kansas City. In the next issue, we'll watch Slim's involvement in the Ludlow massacre in Colorado. The following issue brings us to his home country of Canada and onto the prairies where he'd lead workers to resist subjugation. His advocacy would take him to places like Drumheller, Calgary, Assiniboia, and eventually to Vancouver, where tragedy strikes. So yeah, it's gonna be good stuff. Very, very good stuff. I'm very excited about this whole project. Um, so that's the first issue of Self-Worth. This will tie into the larger work we're doing about the On to Ottawa trek. Very excited about. It's gonna be awesome. Okay, self-promotion just about over. If you want to find out more about that one, what you ought to do is head on over to at Genki Comics. And heck, I'll put mine in there as well. So at Genki Comics and at With These Hands YYC. Okay, let's get into the real stars of the show, which are these great zines I've got. So most of these I got at a comic and zine market put on by Shelf Life Books and the Community Wise Resource Center here in Calgary. Two great organizations, great bookstore, and a very good community sort of charitable and support based organization. The first ones I want to go through here, these are made by Jean Kwong, who is a artist and I believe a radio broadcaster. Does a radio show on CGSW, I believe, about literature, if I'm not mistaken. So you'll find a lot of great stuff on Jean's Instagram about the books that she's digesting for her show. She's an avid reader. She's got these great zines. She had a whole schwack of them when I was there, but I traded for a couple there. Let's start with the first one called Muse. And this is just like, for me, this is like your meat and potatoes, really awesome zine work. I love the classic 8-page zine is what I call this format. It's what I choose to do for my movie adaptations because I just love the simplicity of a single piece of paper, cut down the middle, and making an 8-page zine. So these are great, just like and Jean's work that she does with these ones, and I hope I'm saying that. I hope it's Jean. If it's not Jean, I apologize. The work I love in here is it has a very like hands-on manual feel. So like lots of like nice handwritten text, and then it is photographs and pieces of things that have been assembled together in, we got lace here and fabric and Chinese characters and Sheijian. And this is all sort of collaged together to make these really neat, almost mood pieces. Here's the things to do for one day. Wake up early at 5 a.m. And just great, like torn paper and photographic stuff, and looks like a sticker. Lots of things brought together. Here's a great photograph, like almost you could almost forget when you view it like this. Looks like a backbone, but it's actually the Peace Bridge here in Calgary, which is a pretty well-known bridge designed by a Spanish architect. Yeah, just really beautiful pieces. I just love the way these are done. This one called Contenderlands. Good old Canadian goose on the front. And you can see where you're starting to get some consistency going between them. More fabric swatches and lace. No characters I can read on this one. That's another page from the things to do list. tea, coffee, dim sum and steak. Yeah, I just I'll always I'll always fall in love with the classic 8-page zine. Whenever someone has one, my brain, there's some part in my brain that lights up. And I was never like that until I started like getting into the zines in the last year here and doing them. I probably like I wouldn't have thought too much about little zines, but now I see one and like the pleasure centers in my brain just go like, oh, you need to see what's inside there. What has someone brought together? What have they put together, a little treasure for you? So that's work from Jean Kwong. Next, we're going to move over to Michaela Cacho. Oh, this one's got a great reveal in it. Let me set that there. Let me get um, the Instagram handle. Here we go, Michaela Cacho. Michaela's pretty cool. Okay, so Michaela Cacho, boy, I tell you, I was so excited to trade for this one, and I can't believe I managed to trade my little zines for this one because there's a great reveal in it. It's called Stitch, and it's Michaela is a poet, very much a writer and a poet most of the time, but also does artwork and does these things. This one, when you reveal it, boy, look at that. Look at that hand-stitched heart in here. This is literally, having their heart on their sleeve. I want my words to be tender. I want my words to be known, but they're always ripping at the seams, maybe not meant to be seen. My teeth are the stained needle, my words a red thread. I refuse to wear a thimble, for it seems my words were never meant to be shown. I'm a self-proclaimed bleeding heart. I can't handle the threads in my scars. They refuse to stay closed. I love that you can see the words reveal themselves around the heart. Your touch stitched together something new in me, soothed the fray from my scattered strings, patched the hole that let air escape my lungs, made me see patience, made me see the patience, the longing, the love in my words, the human ache to try and try again, to create and to mend, to discover a final meaning, to make one grand gesture, to complete a picture. I want something tender. I want something known. I need something like me. Ugh, so good. So when I saw this with the hand stitched heart, boy, I was so excited to get my hands on this. Very happy I have this. Just amazing, incredible work. It's so raw and beautiful and tender and fragile. Like I'm afraid to break it. It's so like, it's the broken heart, but I'm so afraid that with my, I think it's the way I interpret is you're meant to feel like you've got something fragile and tenuous, and if I could accidentally destroy this if I'm not careful and tender and recognize its vulnerability. Amazing work. Amazing work. This next one here, who did this one? Remind me. Emma Guido did this one. This is beautiful. This is a very beautiful work. Let me get Emma's information here. So you can follow Emma Guido's work on Instagram at Art by Emma Guido. It's easy to remember. Emma also does commissions. I think they have commissions open right now. And you should check out all their work on it's beautiful. It's very whimsical. Such an awesome illustrator. Went through the Alberta University of the Arts illustration program, and boy, um, she is phenomenal. Okay, this is called Undersea, and it's actually an adaptation of an essay by Rachel Carson. Undersea is a graphic novel inspired by an essay of the same name written by Rachel Carson, who was an American marine biologist, author, and conservationist. The story follows the curious underwater traveler who moves through the various layers of the ocean until they reach the abyss, where they become what makes them. The underwater traveler is swept into the ocean, meets the creatures in the mid-ocean and the ocean floor, and is swallowed by seaweed and dragged into a ravine. They come out of the other side to meet the edge of the continental shelf and the abyss where they encounter the creatures who bring them to the end, or perhaps the beginning. And I believe this is all done with there's no dialogue in all of this. It's just amazing, amazing illustrations. So the traveler stands on the edge of the ocean and then is swept out, nearly swept out, and swept out to sea. And then dives down, meets the ocean's creatures in the mid-ocean. Nice friendly shark there. Keeps on going down, and here we are getting snatched up by the sweet seaweed and dragged further and further down into the abyss, down below the continental shelf. Look at these illustrations. They're just so good. Here we are in the underside. Spit out the underside of this abyss. As they hurtle themselves down. Down, down, down. This scary creature. And almost like deconstructed. Basically, it's like, it reminds me of 2001: A Space Odyssey. It's like the Star Child at the end, this new birth and beginning. It's beautiful work. Emma Guido has a lot of great stuff. I think this might be one of the few pieces I have by them, but I'll be getting more for sure. Emma is awesome. I've got two pieces here by somebody. Now, I hope I've got this right. I've got two pieces here, and I believe that these are both by the same person, but I might be wrong. Let me grab the so this is Ariel, who is an artist, also a musician, is part of a few different musical groups, including, I think, one called Puppet Wipes. They've just put out a new, I think it's an EP or is it an LP? I think it might be a full LP. Yeah. Yeah, the Puppet Wipes. So you should check them out as well. So definitely go to this gods underscore chosen underscore puppet. Check out Ariel's work. It's cool stuff, and the music that they've created is also really neat. So if I've appropriated this or apply this to the wrong person, I apologize, but I'm pretty sure that this was also one of Ariel's. Every interruption counts. Now this, yeah, it's like what I like about Ariel stuff is very much like a, this is like the really cool, this is like heavy metal doodles, but also with a lot of there's something else there. It's not minus. I don't say heavy metal doodles to put it down in a way that it might be, mindless or less than. I don't mean that at all. Is there's a rawness to this that I just love. Media Meteor is I think she's got several of these. This is the only one that I have, unfortunately. The head shirked away from the trollop's advances. Just really like cool, like stream. It's almost like stream of consciousness, the way I look at the way that these are put together. It's like meaning and symbolism and visuals melding together. Like this face with these those dandelions or daisies being the eyes and the nostrils, and the hands as these other flowers. Reminds me of like almost like fever dream. And this great piece on the inside. Gang stalking is domestic terrorism. I really love what's on the back as well. It says, the community hall membership is gang stalking my father, and the landlady is in on it. It's good stuff. And check out Ariel's music as well. They've done work with I think a few different groups and collaborations they've done with other people, and it's all super interesting stuff. Okay, next one we're going to touch on here is some more work from Anna Kinderwater. So I've had Anna's work on the program before. These are some additional ones of them. So I gush over these a lot because they have a very like design quality and remind me of like a 1960s fashion design aesthetic. The series is called Girls. Let me quickly grab Anna's. Now, Anna, I've got a couple of different ones for them. Let me make sure I get the right one. Here we go. So Anna Kinderwater does awesome illustrations, really good stickers, really good these little pieces. Let's take a look at all of them. I've got a few more in the box I already went through previously. You can see here, it's just got that really cool, like almost collaged composition of, you know, its line, its form, its geometric shapes, its fashion, its nature, its architecture and interior design aesthetics, all wrapped into one. And I adore these. I adore these pieces. They're really great. That one's Girls Volume 1. And these really great, just really slick, right? When you see this with the nice little slip cover on it, I might do something similar to this when I sort of feel I'm at the completion of my Ghost Towns zine series. I want to put them together in a sort of package, you know, several of them put together with a nice little slip around them. Very much inspired by what Anna has done here. Here's Summer Girls. Even the choice of paper is superb here. A really nice glossy paper, which reminds you of, you know, especially with the pattern, the geometric pattern, it just reminds me of that, like, it's almost like a 1960s picnic blanket or tablecloth feeling, or like I said, like a fashion magazine from the time. So yeah, so once again, you get everything in here. You got food, you've got nature, you've got aesthetically pleasing fashion, geometric shapes, line and form all coming together in geometric and in organic shapes. It's just so smart. Okay, we got 2 more of these. And then we're going to deep dive into some other stuff. Autumn Girls. The themes that Anna has used as well is great because every single one applies itself to having this sort of some consistency, but then every single time you've got a new set of inspirations in terms of your colors, the whole palette you're working with, different fashion. Like it takes all those things, and you realize how much of the things in our lives, everything from our fashion to our food to our what we see in nature and our surrounding, our environment, is all run by these seasons. It's all seasonal, right? So I think that this series of girls really hammers that home. I really like the palette in this one. This is the kind of stuff I like. I like more earthen kind of stuff. So for me, the palette really works in the autumn one. To me, on like my own emotional level. Okay, and Spooky Ghouls, the Halloween special. Well, not tear this thing as I take it out. Come on now. Be my friend. There we go. So Spooky Ghouls is a good one. Same thing, like how do you make spooky stuff fashion? You just do. It's awesome. This one has less interplay, weaving throughout. That's the only thing that I notice that I'd say is different from what I've seen, is I don't see as much things interplaying all through them. But what she does here is she is able to quite literally, and in the way she does all these things, it's so great, creating sight lines. So really smart about having it draws the eye down and around. You're drawn all through this thing. You actually like it. You can trace exactly how I can trace exactly how my eye is drawn around the page. Very well done. Okay, that's Anna Kinderwater stuff. Okay, the last thing we're going to go through tonight, this is going to take us a little while. We got 5 of them here. Double Digest by Gillian Fleck. Let me just get Gillian's information here. I'm a huge fan of Gillian Fleck. What can I say about Gillian Fleck? Great artist, great writer, very funny, very personable, makes amazing handmade inks from natural substrates and materials. Like everything from acorns to cabbage to what was the one I saw the other day. There's one on here just from what they refer to as tree juice. Taking fallen spring branches gathered from the sidewalk, and then it's so funny because the inks are so surprising because the ink that they created with this tree juice looks red, dries green. It's amazing. It's so everything that Gillian does, I would say, is like that ink. Everything is so surprising. Like it subverts a lot of what you might expect. So Double Digest is great because it says here Canada's favorite teen cannibal comic. So what we've got in this is a duo of teen high school aged cannibals. So this is our pair here. And they you come across a scene. This looks kind of innocent, right? Like any teenager you've ever met. Got their math homework, some messy plates and things, but then there's some human bones in there as well. As they sit and watch Troll 2. They're eating her, and they're gonna eat me too. Oh my god. So these two are sitting on the mattress here. Well, it's the end of the Duncan twins as they throw the last of their ribs into the pile here. They will be missed. And by their D&D group. So what's next? I can't think of a single guy worth the time. This is April. She likes, I don't know. Dislikes, well, I don't know what GPOY is. I'm old. I don't know. So I know this is Freeney, who likes bands she's never heard of and dislikes forum threads and drama. So April and Freeney are double digest heroes? I don't know if they're heroes. They are teen cannibals. They're pretty cool though. So we'll keep an eye out. Someone is bound to show up. Well, I've got to go. Get lost, bitch. Later, loser. So the Duncan twins have been noticed as missing. Oh, please, God, no. I hate it here. Catch you later. Keep an eye out. Ugh. So here's the next surprise, and I saved this one. This is a great surprise. We've got this wonderful Officer Periwinkle, who is a pony, a beautiful, beautiful pony, who's also belongs to the police department. They like apples and nose rubs and dislike disorder and evil. Well, 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 look who it is. Last time I checked, it isn't illegal to walk through the halls. I know you, and weird girls like you are up to something, and it's my job to keep an eye out. Just think about that. Great, can I go? Drama class. I just know he's cheating on me. I'm sure he's not, Mrs. B. You're too nice. Miss B likes puppies, kittens, Christ, and chocolate. They dislike pornography, driving, and swimming. Oh, you guys are the best students a teacher could ask for. But I'm a terrible girlfriend. When they said drama, I thought they meant acting. So they're in separate classes at the moment. Here we got April just snoring away. I won't make snoring sounds. I'll save you that. So, did you find anyone worthwhile? Yeah, right. Especially, while I would especially like to murder Miss B, I doubt she'd be worth the time. Ugh. And this is the end of the hunt? No, we can't stop hunting. Somewhere out there, there's a boy, a teenage boy with a bad haircut. And you know what he's doing? Just being a dumb turd, not even wearing deodorant. What would we normally call that kind of creature? An animal. And what do we do with those? We eat them. Yeah, yeah. English class. Come in, welcome. All right, guys, before we begin today, let's jive a bit. I'm feeling like telling you all a little story. A story about final exams. Mr. Lush likes Christian rock, Lolita, dislikes, bad vibes, and reverse racism. And in a way, it's a story of why I became a teacher. Now, when I was your age, I was super nervous about the final exams, but you know what? I went in for the exam and I wrote what I knew. And I aced that exam. And I thought, you know what? I bet if I became a teacher, I could just teach everyone how to ace their exams. Am I right? Yeah. All right. You heard it, boys. This semester, we're gonna write what we know and own that final. I think they've discovered their next person. Mr. What's his name? Mr. Lush. You think we could take him down? Not this early. We need to find out how. He passed that test. So, our Freeney wants to doesn't want to take him down and eat him just yet. First, got to figure out how to pass tests. Now, this semester we'll be focusing on a genre of literature that is often overlooked by modern literary critics. That's right, we'll be focusing on books featuring a white, heterosexual, cisgendered male protagonist. Uh, but before we get to that, I want to introduce our newest student. Hey, buddy, what's your name? Andrew Arches. And what are your likes and dislikes? I like skateboards and bands, and I dislike ethnic food and reading. Wow. Wow, sounds like you really fit in here. I want you to know this is a safe space for you. And they're ready to go. Here we go. A better opportunity has placed itself in their lives. Andrew Arches. That's the first issue of Double Digest. I've got 4 more. We'll do a quick flip through of those ones because I want you to check those out. We're going to take also a look at Goldbrick, which is another one that Jillian has done. And it's pretty cool. We'll flip through real quick on these. Continues to be really fun. A really great great way of drawing. Really, Jillian understands how to draw characters in a way that you recognize, that you're able to recognize them, and they still have very lots of personality in that. For some reason, raccoons are creepy babies. There's just great surprises in every single one of these. And we continue to see Officer Periwinkle trying to get to the bottom of these darn murders. Yeah, just in every issue, it's just so much fun. And you're surprised every time a new character is introduced, like Principal Flowers here, who's basically just a weird headless creep. It gets very exciting. Greeny finds himself something to eat. Very fun. So make sure you follow Jillian. We got lots more stuff that's always going on. Always doing exciting stuff. I've got, I've talked many times, I've got a graphic novel from them that we'll go through at some point. That is called, what's it called here? Lake Jehovah. It slips my mind. Yeah, beautiful illustrations. Really strong. Really well done. Officer Periwinkle is hilarious. Really, really, really good stuff. Okay. Take a quick look at Goldbrick as well before we break for the night. A self-indulgent autobio comic Perzine by Gillian Fleck. Once again, that really excellent style, like very knowing not to put. Gillian knows where to put your focal point, knows how to keep it clean, um, knows where to put detail into a background, but not too much to establish a scene. Just very, very smart. We'll read one of these out. What do I want to read? Which one do I want to read? Okay, let's read I Walk Alone. Okay, let's find some workout music. Non-stop motivational music? Perfect. Motivation. I am a beast. I will never give up. I am a champion. Up. Wow, this is really intense. It kind of rocks though. I walk alone. I can handle any challenge in my life. I walk my own path. There's nobody by my side. Oh my God, really intense. This walk will make you stronger. You won't be alone forever. It will make you stronger. It will make you better. Huh? The right people will come at the right time. Be open to that truth. Oh my God, so fucking cheesy. If you have to go it alone, know that you are strong enough to go it alone. Oh, wait, don't cry. Don't cry. Don't cry. You are not allowed to cry to workout music. If you need to distance yourself from some people in your life, know you are strong enough. You must do what is best for your mental health. Know if you have to walk alone, you don't have to be lonely. Wayne Dyer said you cannot be lonely if you like the person you're alone with. Become that person. Become the person you want most in your life. Nope. Oh gosh. Well, got the sweat, got the tears. Just need the blood. Just cool. Just cool little vignettes. Little autobiographical stuff. I won't give everyone else my won't continue to give you my renditions of voices. Probably it for the night, I think. It is the second night of my epic desert adventure, and have I always been a cactus? I don't know. Being or not, being of the cacti family seems to be a thing an individual is simply inherently know. Perhaps I have always kept vigil on these dunes. Regardless, I still have my duty to my readers as a licensed journalist to uncover the truth. And something fishy is up in this weird desert. Never fear, reader. This journalist will not fail you. I love that. Hunter S. Thompson as a cactus. Have I always been a cactus? Well, seems like something I should hear. Know. Good work, Gillian. Really good stuff. Okay. That's all we're going to cover for tonight. We're going to come back in a week and we're going to cover some more things from the amazing box of more. Um, these were all pulled from miscellaneous shows. We've got a couple of great pieces. Oh boy, I can't wait to show you these two. We're gonna deep dive these two next time. These are pieces by Nick Johnson, um, who's an amazing, amazing creator. So that's next time. So look forward to that. Um, gonna deep dive some Nick Johnson stuff, which is exciting to me. Okay, thank you so much for joining me and hanging out. It's always nice to see people here and see people commenting on the YouTube as well when I put stuff up on there. So please keep doing that. Links for all that are in my Twitch. Yeah, thank you so much.